Why rich people love pretending to be poor. In the grand theater of human existence, few performances are as intriguing and perplexing as the spectacle of the wealthy donning the garb of poverty. This curious phenomenon, where those blessed with abundance choose to cloak themselves in the trappings of scarcity, invites us to delve deep into the human psyche, exploring the intricate dance between wealth, identity, and societal expectations. As we embark on this philosophical journey, we must first acknowledge the complexity of human nature. We are beings driven by contradictions, forever oscillating between opposing desires and impulses. The rich person who pretends to be poor embodies this contradiction in its most vivid form. But what compels individuals who have reached the pinnacle of material success to engage in this peculiar charade? To understand this, we must first examine the nature of wealth itself. What does it mean to be rich in our society? Is it merely the accumulation of material possessions, or does it encompass something more profound? I posit that true wealth extends far beyond the confines of one's bank account. It is a state of being, a way of moving through the world that encompasses not just financial abundance, but also spiritual richness, emotional fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. Yet, in our modern world, we have often reduced wealth to its most superficial manifestations. We equate it with ostentatious displays of luxury, with the flaunting of designer labels and the accumulation of status symbols. In doing so, we have created a caricature of wealth that many find hollow and unfulfilling. Is it any wonder, then, that some who have achieved financial success seek to distance themselves from this caricature? The act of a rich person pretending to be poor can be seen as a rebellion against this narrow definition of wealth. It is a statement that says, I am more than my money. My worth as a human being extends beyond my material possessions. In this light, we can view this behavior not as deception, but as a quest for authenticity in a world that often conflates net worth with self-worth. But let us dig deeper. What psychological needs does this pretense satisfy? One possibility is that it serves as a form of escapism. The wealthy individual, burdened by the expectations and responsibilities that come with their status, may find solace in temporarily shedding these trappings. By pretending to be poor, they can experience a kind of freedom from the constant scrutiny, from the pressure to maintain their status, from the isolation that often accompanies great wealth. This brings us to a profound paradox, the idea that in pretending to have less, one might actually gain more. By stripping away the external markers of wealth, the rich person may hope to connect more authentically with others, to be valued for who they are rather than what they possess. In this sense, the act of pretending to be poor can be seen as a yearning for genuine human connection, unmediated by the distorting lens of wealth. Yet we must also confront the ethical implications of this behavior. Is there not something inherently disingenuous about a person of means play-acting at poverty? Does it not trivialize the very real struggles of those who live in genuine financial hardship? These are uncomfortable questions, but ones we must grapple with if we are to fully understand this phenomenon. I invite you to reflect on your own relationship with wealth and status. Have you ever found yourself downplaying your achievements or possessions in certain social situations? What motivated this behavior? Was it a desire for authenticity, a fear of judgment, or perhaps a complex interplay of both? As we delve further into this topic, we must also consider the societal forces that shape our perceptions of wealth and poverty. We live in a world of increasing income inequality, where the gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. In this context, the act of a wealthy person pretending to be poor takes on additional layers of meaning. It can be seen as a response to growing class tensions, an attempt to bridge the divide between socioeconomic strata. But is this a genuine attempt at solidarity, or merely a superficial gesture that ultimately changes nothing? Can the rich truly understand the experience of poverty by temporarily adopting its outward appearance? These are questions that challenge us to examine our own assumptions about class, privilege, and the nature of empathy itself. As we conclude this first part of our exploration, I urge you to consider the masks we all wear in our daily lives. Rich or poor, we all engage in forms of pretense, presenting different versions of ourselves to the world. The wealthy person pretending to be poor is perhaps just a more extreme manifestation of this universal human tendency. In our next segment, we will delve deeper into the historical and cultural contexts that have given rise to this phenomenon, exploring how different societies throughout time have grappled with the complex relationship between wealth, virtue, and social status. We will examine how the perception of wealth has evolved over time and how this evolution has shaped the behavior we see today. But before we move on, I leave you with this question to ponder: if you could choose between being seen as wealthy but feeling unfulfilled, or being perceived as poor but experiencing true contentment, which would you choose? And what does your answer reveal about your own values and priorities? The way we approach this hypothetical scenario can offer profound insights into our own relationship with wealth, status, and the pursuit of happiness. The alchemy of identity, transmuting abundance into authenticity. In our quest to unravel the enigma of wealthy individuals feigning poverty, we must now turn our gaze to the crucible of identity formation. The act of pretending to be poor is, at its core, an alchemical process. An attempt to transmute the gold of material wealth into the more precious metal of authentic selfhood. Consider for a moment the weight of expectation that accompanies great wealth. From the moment one's financial status becomes known, a barrage of assumptions and prejudgments descends. The wealthy individual finds themselves trapped in a gilded cage of others' perceptions. In this light, the pretense of poverty can be seen as a desperate bid for freedom to be seen as one truly is, unencumbered by the distorting lens of wealth. But we must ask ourselves, is this freedom real or merely another form of illusion? In shedding the trappings of wealth, does one truly reveal their authentic self, or simply don another mask? The answer, I believe, lies in the intention behind the act. If the goal is genuine self-discovery and connection, then this pretense may indeed serve as a pathway to authenticity. However, if it is merely a ploy to assuage guilt or to appropriate the perceived nobility of poverty, then it becomes nothing more than a sophisticated form of self-deception. We must also consider the societal forces that make poverty seem paradoxically attractive to the wealthy. In many cultures, there is a long-standing tradition of associating material simplicity with spiritual and moral purity. From ascetic monks to countercultural movements, the rejection of wealth has often been seen as a path to enlightenment. The rich person pretending to be poor may be tapping into this cultural current, seeking not just authenticity but a form of redemption. Yet, we cannot ignore the inherent privilege in this act. The ability to choose poverty, to dip one's toes in its waters while retaining the safety net of wealth, is itself a luxury that the truly poor do not possess. This raises profound questions about the ethics of such behavior. Are we, in romanticizing poverty, trivializing the very real struggles of those who live in genuine need? I challenge you to examine your own life. Have you ever downplayed your advantages or achievements in an attempt to fit in or to feel more real? What motivated this behavior? Was it a genuine desire for connection, or perhaps a subconscious guilt about your privileges? As we navigate these murky philosophical waters, we must also consider the transformative potential of this phenomenon. Could the wealthy person's temporary embrace of poverty lead to greater empathy and understanding? Might it spark a re-evaluation of priorities, leading to more meaningful engagement with the world? The answers to these questions are not simple or universal. They depend on the individual's intentions, actions, and the broader context in which this behavior occurs. What is clear, however, is that this phenomenon reflects deeper truths about our society's complex relationship with wealth, authenticity, and personal identity. As we conclude this part of our exploration, I urge you to reflect on your own relationship with wealth and identity. How much of your self-worth is tied to your material possessions or financial status? If all of that was stripped away, who would you be? These are not easy questions to answer, but in grappling with them, we may find insights not just into the behavior of wealthy individuals pretending to be poor, but into the very nature of human identity itself. The mirage of simplicity deconstructing the allure of fabricated frugality. As we delve deeper into the labyrinth of wealth and identity, we encounter a peculiar phenomenon: the romanticization of poverty by those who have never experienced it. This idealization of simplicity by the affluent is not merely a personal quirk, but a reflection of broader societal tensions and philosophical quandaries. Consider the allure of the simple life that captivates many wealthy individuals. There's a pervasive myth that poverty somehow equates to a more authentic, more meaningful existence. But we must ask ourselves, is this not a gross oversimplification, a projection of our own dissatisfactions onto an idealized other? The wealthy person who plays at being poor is, in essence, seeking to consume an experience. They desire the perceived authenticity of poverty without its attendant hardships. This commodification of struggle raises ethical concerns. Are we not, in some way, appropriating the lived experiences of others for our own spiritual or emotional gratification? Yet we must also consider the potential positive outcomes of this behavior. Could this temporary immersion in a different way of life lead to greater empathy and understanding? Might it spark a re-evaluation of priorities, leading to more meaningful engagement with issues of social justice and inequality? The answer, I believe, lies in the intention and the follow-through. If this pretense of poverty leads to genuine reflection, to concrete actions aimed at addressing systemic inequalities, then it may indeed serve a valuable purpose. However, if it remains merely a form of poverty tourism, a brief dalliance with simplicity before returning to a life of luxury, then it becomes ethically problematic. We must also examine the psychological motivations behind this behavior. Is it driven by guilt over one's privileges, a desire to escape the pressures and expectations that come with wealth? Or perhaps a genuine search for meaning in a world where material abundance has failed to provide fulfillment? I challenge you to look inward and examine your own relationship with material possessions. Have you ever felt that your belongings owned you rather than the other way around? Have you yearned for a simpler existence, free from the complications of abundance? This yearning for simplicity is not new. Throughout history, we see examples of wealthy individuals renouncing their riches in search of spiritual enlightenment or moral purity, from Buddha leaving his palace to saint. Francis of Assisi embracing poverty. The idea that material renunciation can lead to spiritual wealth is deeply ingrained in many cultures. But we must ask, in our modern context, is this still a valid path to enlightenment? Or has it become a performative act, a way of signaling virtue without truly engaging with the systemic issues that create and perpetuate poverty? As we navigate these complex waters, we must also consider the impact of social media and the culture of performative authenticity it has spawned. In an age where every aspect of our lives can be curated and shared, the line between genuine experience and carefully crafted image becomes increasingly blurred. The wealthy person pretending to be poor may be responding to societal pressures to appear relatable or down to earth, but in doing so, are they not perpetuating a false narrative about the nature of poverty and the realities of class disparity? As we conclude this segment, I urge you to reflect on the masks we all wear, the personas we adopt in different contexts. How authentic are we in our day-to-day interactions? And what would it mean to truly strip away these layers of pretense and present our authentic selves to the world? These are not easy questions, but in grappling with them we may find insights not just into the behavior of wealthy individuals pretending to be poor, but into the very nature of authenticity, identity, and the human search for meaning in a world of material abundance. The crucible of authenticity, forging true wealth in the fires of self-reflection. As we approach the denouement of our philosophical odyssey, we find ourselves standing at the crossroads of wealth, identity, and authenticity. The phenomenon of rich people pretending to be poor has led us on a winding path through the labyrinth of human psychology, social dynamics, and ethical considerations. Now, we must distill the essence of our exploration and ponder its implications for our own lives and society at large. The act of feigning poverty, we've discovered, is far more than a mere quirk of the wealthy. It is a mirror reflecting our collective anxieties about wealth, our quest for meaning, and our deep-seated yearning for authentic connection. But as with any mirror, the image it presents is both revealing and distorted. We must look beyond the surface reflection to uncover the deeper truths it conceals. Consider for a moment the paradox at the heart of this behavior, the idea that by pretending to have less, one might actually gain more. This notion challenges our conventional understanding of wealth and value. It suggests that true richness lies not in the accumulation of material possessions, but in the cultivation of authentic relationships, experiences, and self-understanding. Yet we must be wary of romanticizing poverty or oversimplifying the complex realities of economic disparity. The ability to choose poverty, to dip in and out of it at will, is itself a form of privilege that the truly impoverished do not possess. We must ask ourselves, in our quest for authenticity, are we not at risk of appropriating the struggles of others for our own emotional or spiritual gratification? I challenge you to examine your own life. How often do you present a curated version of yourself to the world? Do you ever downplay your achievements or advantages out of a desire to appear more relatable or authentic? What would it mean to truly strip away these layers of pretense and present your unvarnished self to the world? The answers to these questions are not easy, nor are they universal. They require a level of self-reflection and honesty that can be uncomfortable, even painful. But it is in this discomfort that true growth and understanding can occur. As we navigate these murky philosophical waters, we must also consider the broader societal implications of this phenomenon. What does it say about our culture that we have created a world in which the wealthy feel compelled to hide their abundance? Have we constructed a society so rife with inequality and disconnection that even those at the top feel alienated and unfulfilled? Perhaps the real issue at hand is not the behavior of wealthy individuals pretending to be poor, but the systems and values that have created such vast disparities of wealth in the first place. Maybe the solution lies not in individual acts of pretense, but in collective efforts to create a more equitable and compassionate society. This brings us to a crucial point: the importance of moving beyond performative actions to create real, meaningful change. If the wealthy truly wish to understand and connect with those less fortunate, perhaps the answer lies not in pretending to be poor, but in using their resources and influence to address systemic inequalities. True authenticity, after all, is not about what we pretend to be, but about aligning our actions with our deepest values and convictions. As we conclude our exploration, I urge you to reflect on your own relationship with wealth, status, and authenticity. What masks do you wear in your daily life? What would it mean to remove them? How can you cultivate a sense of true wealth that goes beyond material possessions? Remember, the journey towards authenticity is not a destination, but a continual process of self-discovery and growth. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and our society. But in embracing this challenge, we open ourselves to the possibility of a richer, more meaningful existence. In the end, perhaps the phenomenon of rich people pretending to be poor is not about poverty or wealth at all, but about our universal human desire for connection, meaning, and authenticity. It is a reminder that true richness lies not in what we possess, but in who we are and how we relate to the world around us. As you move forward from this philosophical journey, I challenge you to carry these reflections with you. Look beyond the surface of your own life and the lives of those around you. Seek to understand the complex motivations that drive human behavior. And above all, strive for authenticity in your own actions and relationships, for it is only by embracing our true selves with all our complexities and contradictions that we can hope to create a world of genuine connection and shared understanding. In this pursuit, we may find a form of wealth that transcends material abundance, a richness of spirit that no amount of money can buy or pretense can fabricate. And so, as we close this chapter of our philosophical exploration, I leave you with one final question to ponder. If you could redefine wealth on your own terms, what would it look like? How would you measure it? And most importantly, how would you live your life differently in pursuit of this new definition of richness? The answers to these questions have the power to transform not just our individual lives, but the very fabric of our society. For in reimagining wealth, we reimagine our world, and in doing so, we open the door to possibilities we may never have dreamed possible.